Hello and welcome to Coach's Decision, a weekly talk show here in KSCO Studios where we talk about sports from the Bay Area and beyond. My name is Thomas Todd. I'll be your host this evening. Sitting across from me, making his way up the Atlantic coast, it's Hurricane Joaquin.
That's right, Thomas. Stopping in the Bahamas, going to Florida, going to the Mid-Atlantic, all the way to New York, baby.
No Hurricane Thomases that I've ever heard of. I don't think any Hurricane producer Torys.
No Hurricane Danny Zarchi. Hurricane Zarchi, I'm waiting for it.
I've seen Hurricane Zarchi. Late night pool at a certain bar or two. I've seen a little bit of Hurricane Zarchi. On today's show, we are going to talk to Daniel Zarchi about some football picks and some baseball. We're also going to talk about Derrick Rose's broken face, Harper and Papelbon. We touched briefly about that on Monday, but we'll get deep dive into that. And Cam Newton squaring off against Ed Hockley, who wins in a fist fight. We'll find that out. Joaquin, what can people do to help our show? What can they do online?
They can go to coachesdecisionkSCO.com.
They can do that, and once they get there, they can click through on fansedge.com or fanatics.com and purchase some merchandise. Purchase merchandise. I like how that sounds. A portion of the proceeds of the merchandise comes back to Coach's Decision. They're our sponsor. They're wonderful. Go to those sites. There's always things on sale, free shipping, lots of deals. Go in there. There's coupon codes and everything you can use on the site. So once again, go through our site, coachesdecisionkSCO.com, and click through to fansedge and fanatics.com. Also, any of our sponsors, Ken Keegan, 99 Bottles, Woodstock's Pizza, those guys are always happy to have your business as well. Thank you to them.
Yeah, go watch the football at Woodstock's or 99 tomorrow, this weekend.
Or at Ken Keegan's house.
Or Ken Keegan. Watch the Mets playoff games at Ken Keegan's house. Tell him we sent you. And maybe kick him some money for a painting.
Yeah, bring him a beer or two. That'd be great. Let's start with Harper and Papelbon. I know you're not a baseball guy, but you are definitely an altercation guy.
Oh, yeah.
So what leads up to this is Papelbon plunks Manny Machado of the Orioles. And this pisses off Bryce Harper because he knows, and he tells Papelbon, great, now I'm going to get hit because he knows he's the best player on his team, and that's who the other team's going to go after. So that starts everything. This is days later. Bryce Harper refuses to run out a pop-up to shallow right field that eventually gets caught, and then Papelbon accosts him in the dugout. Harper responds, and Papelbon chokes and shoves Bryce Harper. What?
Well, for my money, Bryce Harper just looks like a guy who could use a good choking.
Wow.
No. That's just a shot at the Kansas City Star, who published a blog post that said that.
Right, yeah. One of the writers was like, well, sometimes a guy's face.
Yeah, exactly. This is crazy. The unwritten rules of baseball would have you think that this sort of altercation can and does happen, but happens in the clubhouse and not in the dugout.
So in society, Jonathan Papelbon is wrong.
And he's a crazy person.
Baseball does not live in society.
No.
It does not violate antitrust regulations, the courts have figured out. The clubhouse mentality does not translate over to the rest of society because a lot of guys have come out and said they don't mind what Jonathan Papelbon did. A lot of guys have come out and disparaged Bryce Harper. He was voted the most overrated player before the season by his fellow players. I mean, he proved them wrong by being one of the most properly rated or maybe even underrated players in Major League
Let's call him
Baseball.
rated.
But where did baseball players get off just deferring to the veteran, deferring to the guy who's won 2 World Series?
Well, it's all about seniority, right? It's about a weird pecking order that they establish.
Bryce Harper's season this year has been better than anything Papelbon's done in his entire career. He's earned at least some modicum of respect.
But the unwritten rules of the game, Thomas. The unwritten rules of the game.
But they've written rules about not choking other dudes.
Well,
don't
on
bet
the
on
other
baseball,
team.
Don't bet on baseball and don't choke anybody.
And Papelbon got suspended, 4 games for this?
He'd already been suspended 3 games for the Machado incident, and there were 7 games left in the season. So the Nats just said, that's a 4-game suspension. You're done. Not only that, they removed all of his merchandise, like his jerseys and jerseys they were selling in the Nationals team store.
But
they're gone now.
Do you think those shirts and jerseys would have been ironically purchased more? Do you think people had more interest in the Papelbon jersey after he choked out Bryce Harper?
Absolutely, tying them around their neck like a sweater or, anything they could do. But those are well on their way to Africa now, along with all those Buffalo Bills Super Bowl T-shirts.
And the OG Broncos Super Bowl titles.
Oh, yeah, in the 80s. Very good. What do you think about removing his name from the team store? Because he was only a rental player to begin with.
They're just trying to appease their young star, right?
Yeah.
They're just kind of sucking up to Bryce Harper with that.
Well, he can't leave anyway. There's no way. Teams don't let players like that get away. Bryce Harper doesn't play 6 years for the Nationals and then sign a huge free agent contract.
He's not Barry Bonds?
That's a possibility. Pittsburgh was in
Alex
a different...
Rodriguez?
All right,
happens.
You make some very good points.
I'm just saying the biggest of the big stars, they go places and they get more money than is reasonable.
But I think that's the last time that this kind of player hasn't signed a huge extension to go beyond his 6 years. But we can talk about that as that gets closer. And Bryce Harper is probably going to win the MVP and probably be the only MVP ever to be attacked in his own dugout during said MVP season.
By a psychopathic veteran.
Oh, my God. Jonathan Papelbon has never been a fan favorite in my household or on Twitter or with real people.
I think it's like his aggressiveness and being named Jonathan always just reminds me of John Rocker.
Oh,
like
really?
I unfortunately when I hear the name Jonathan Papelbon and assault, I just instantly think of John Rocker's comments about the 7 train.
Well, thank God Bryce Harper's white.
Oh God.
Doesn't have any Jewish ancestors that we know about. John Rocker famously saying some terribly racist and horrible things about
the
people in New York
residents
City.
of Queens.
I mean, just watch Eastbound and Down, and Danny McBride's character is based a little bit on John Rocker.
A little bit?
A little bit on John Rocker. A little bit on Danny McBride, I imagine.
Okay, fair.
Our next story, perhaps suspended, blah, blah, blah. Cam Newton wants Ed Hockley to suffer.
Yes.
Because Cam Newton got hit out of bounds.
Yeah.
Didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
No penalty. Asked for a penalty, which, of course, is the referee's favorite thing.
He said, hey, man.
What's up?
What's up?
Hockley said, you're not old enough to get that call.
According to Newton,
yes.
Hockley said, you're not old enough to get that call.
First of all, what does that mean?
That doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
It means nothing.
So, like, Derek Carr of the Raiders in his second season obviously won't get that call in Hockley's mind if that's what he said. Maybe if Dante Culpepper comes out of retirement or something, does he get that call? Or is it just the elite guys like Rodgers, Brady,
Manning? Maybe Jamarcus Russell gets that call.
The KG veteran, Jamarcus Russell. But no, seriously, Peyton Manning isn't the biggest, strongest guy in the field.
According to Hockley, he said you were running. You were on the run.
Right.
According to Hockley, his statement to Newton was that he was running and outside of the pocket, and that's why it wasn't
But I'm
a
saying
late hit.
If Peyton Manning was running and out of the pocket...
Peyton Manning can't get out of the pocket, Thomas.
I'm just saying.
Peyton Manning can't leave the tackle box.
I'm saying part of it, if this is true, if what Hockley said is true, it's because Newton is such a powerful, enormous man when he has the football that it is actually harder to tackle him than it is to, shove Peyton Manning out of bounds.
Roethlisberger rolls out of the pocket. He's a big, powerful guy. He sheds off tackles. But if he released the ball and the camera had time to follow the ball and not see the hit at all, you're definitely getting a flag. That was the thing that stood out to me the most when watching the play, was that from a lot of angles that were tracking the play, you can't even see Newton get hit. It was clearly a late hit. The guy who hit him is like 2 yards away when he releases the ball. Like, it doesn't matter if you're a quarterback or not, that's a late hit.
Yeah, and the question is, if he did say it, okay, the NFL needs to punish him. But the NFL is basically, once again, hiding behind logic and fake truth and saying, well, if Cam Newton can prove that he said it, it's like, well, how is Cam Newton supposed to prove that somebody said something?
People say, lip readers say it didn't look like he said that. And
lip readers, this whole field is mic'd up. There's segments called mic'd up.
I'm sure Cam Newton's mic'd up in the helmet.
They used to be called jacked up, but you can't show those segments anymore because guys are getting concussed. So now they're called mic'd up, and they just wait till Ray Lewis or people of his ilk say something crazy on the sidelines. And this is the sidelines where all the listening devices are. Someone had to pick that up. If that comes out, Hockley's gonna get suspended.
Today the NFL announced that they concluded their investigation. They were not going to further investigate the incident, and that Hockley wasn't going to get suspended, and the referees union stood by Ed Hockley.
Is this a safety issue for the players?
Everything's a safety issue for quarterbacks.
Right, and that's why they should get the calls. And I think that's the point that Cam Newton's trying to make, is that you have to protect your quarterbacks even when they're 260 pounds
and mobile
and pulling guys over.
Cam Newton was saying, even if he's running, when he goes into a slide, if he gets hit, it should be a penalty. Or if he's rolling out and he releases the ball and steps out of bounds and gets hit, it should be a penalty. It doesn't matter how big and how mobile he is.
Well,
hitting people late should be a penalty.
This is a little off topic, but what I've seen recently when I've been watching football the last 5 or 6 years has been quarterbacks kind of hesitating before they slide, trying to buy that extra yard, that extra step or two before they actually slide. And that's where I don't feel sorry for the quarterback.
No, not at all.
Because if you're going to have that rule where if the quarterback gives himself up, you can't touch him, hey, don't try to milk that rule. Don't try to cross that line because you're going to get hit and no one's going to feel sorry for you.
And when I see that, when I see like the hesitation, like the fake slide for a step before sliding and then they get hit and then the flag comes, it just reminds me of people diving. It's just flopping. That's the NFL's equivalent of flopping.
Oh man, if Vlade Divac played quarterback,
oh, he'd be so good at the every step, almost diving.
He would be flipping over the bench on the sideline. He'd be being fake tripped by members of the sideline of the opposing
team. He'd be hit between the knee and the ankle so often.
He'd run out of MCLs to sprain.
He'd figure out how to pull the chair on a defensive lineman. I don't know how he'd do it as the quarterback, but he'd figure it out. He and Karl Malone, man, always pulling the chair.
And Ndamukong Suh would just stomp him in his face. I mean, that's what he likes to do. All right, our last story at the top of the show. Derrick Rose.
Oh, man.
Near and dear to our heart because he was such a talented player, such an athletic player, such a ballsy player.
Such an undeserved MVP.
Such an undeserved MVP. That was a great season.
That was a narrative MVP. Dwight Howard was better that year.
You think so?
Yeah, well, LeBron and Howard. He was the third best player in the league
Well, you can break it down in your book called The Book of Basketball. It's a 900-page volume being published next year. That's not true. So Derrick Rose breaks an orbital bone in his face by taking an elbow in practice. Is he having the worst offseason ever? He's got a civil suit going. His ex-girlfriend's accusing him of some dastardly things.
He talked about just getting that paper, looking forward to the next contract.
All he's talking about is money.
Yeah, he's just trying to get that money.
I'm looking at his
contract. Got that Adidas
here.
Money.
He's got the Adidas. He's 4 years into a 13-year, $185 million shoe contract.
And what would James Harden say about that?
He said, I'm wearing Nike till October 1st. till tomorrow.
Till tomorrow.
He's also talking about wanting more money. Okay, Latrell Sprewell, you got to feed your family. You still are owed 2 years and $42 million by the Bulls. You're not going to get the kind of contract you want if you're Derrick Rose right now.
He thought he could play his way into it this year. Like,
he hasn't done it yet.
Good for him, believing in himself.
Yeah, but on that team, like the way they're using him, it's never going to happen.
Hey, Jimmy Butler said it on media day. He's ready to play the point.
Yeah, he's down.
He said he could do it.
Jimmy Butler also said Derrick Rose can talk about unicorns and rainbows. Just help us win. They haven't been to the finals. This Bulls team has always been on the edge but never gone over. So this is, it's coming up on the window closing. Joakim Noah's not a young guy anymore, Yeah,
Joakim Noah had a terrible year for injuries last year, but if he can regain any of his form from his Defensive Player of the year.
We're going to ask...
First team All-NBA center, number 5 in MVP voting.
We're going to ask producer Tory because she knows some of the bone structure in the face, but I think it's just going to be a couple of weeks before he's ready to play.
They said they don't have a timeline for his return until after surgery.
She says 2 weeks.
And, so no timeline for his return.
Or she gave her 2 weeks notice. I'm not sure which one that was.
Until after surgery. But just a quick stat from ESPN today. Derrick Rose has missed 108 games in the last 2 seasons.
Is that a lot? How many do they play? 600, right? Tim
Duncan has missed 97 in 18 seasons.
Yeah.
And that's including games that Pop rested him.
The man has never jumped in his career.
That's fair.
You can't hurt yourself if you don't jump.
I saw him catch an alley-oop once when he was in college. I blacked out.
Did he dunk it?
He did dunk it.
Did he just catch it?
I've seen him catch an lob pass and not dunk it more recently.
I've got one statistic, and this is about Derrick Rose's money, something I read today. Within 5 years of retirement, 60% of NBA players are broke.
Yes.
Including Latrell Sprewell. I know we make fun of him because I can't feed my family. Well, now he can't feed his family.
Because he's broke.
Despite making $120 million as an NBA player.
Well, Derrick Rose has a long enough Adidas contract. It'll probably still be going by the time he retires at this rate.
So 5 years of retirement, 3 more years. Okay, yeah, looking good.
Just really quick, what this got me thinking about is the great masked men in basketball. Because he's probably going to come up. Yeah, he's gonna pull Rip Hamilton. Westbrook was killing it in the mask. LeBron in the black mask.
Jim Carrey was fantastic in the mask.
Exactly.
Maybe has never been better.
Maybe the mask will do some wonderful things for Derrick Rose.
Jamie Kennedy, the son of the mask.
No one wants to know about the son of the mask.
Cher in the movie Mask. I can do this all day. The Mask of Zorro. Yeah.
Catherine Zeta-Jones, never better.
Never better. See?
Antonio Banderas, Anthony Hopkins.
Young actresses out there, be in a movie with Mask in the title. You'll never be more attractive. All right, we're going to go to our sponsorship break. We're going to tell you about our friend Ken Keegan, a local artist and wonderful dude. Ken is a huge fan of baseball, specifically the Mets, who are playoff bound. We need them to win, Ken. They need to beat the Dodgers. I cannot have the Dodgers in the NLCS or the World Series. Ken, you're a terrible baseball player, but you're a fantastic artist. You can see all of Ken's art on artwanted.com. Just search his name, Ken Keegan. That's Keegan. You will see dozens of his works. He has prints. He can put it on a coffee mug, a T-shirt. He's got a painting called Quiet Moon, which I really like. Great uses of blue and green. That's artwanted.com, and search the name Ken Keegan, Kenegan. I'm going to flip over here and get us Daniel Zarchi on the phone. He's going to talk to us about some baseball and a little bit of football. Danny, are you there, my friend?
I am.
How are you doing, dude?
Well, I'm shocked and appalled because Catherine Zeta-Jones was in The Legend of Zorro.
Oh, man. Which one's the Mask of Zorro?
It's not that one.
Not that one? Okay, you're the one with Wikipedia access right now, so I blame you for that. But yes, thank you for correcting my 12-year-old self when he cuts her dress a couple of times. It's so risque.
Antonio Banderas, man. I'm telling you.
I mean, his best role is Philadelphia, and that's completely different than Zorro.
Desperado.
All right, Danny. The Giants were desperate.
Okay, so
go ahead.
She may have also been in The Mask of Zorro. So
Okay,
thank you.
I take it back partially.
Okay. The Giants were desperado yesterday, and they lost to the Dodgers, who are now playoff bound, who won the NL West behind an amazing pitching performance by Clayton Kershaw. We've seen him throw, a no-hitter. We've seen him throw shutouts. We've seen him hit a home run in his career. We've seen him do lots of things because we have to, because he plays the Giants all the time. He plays in our division. We have to watch this guy, and we just have to marvel at him sometimes. How marvelous was he yesterday?
Well, it's hard to believe that somebody it's hard to believe that Clayton Kershaw could put together that sort of performance against a team that's starting Kevin Franzen at first base.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? Why is Kevin Franzen on the team? Why is he in the organization? Is he even a quadruple A guy anymore? No.
Not to take anything away from Clayton Kershaw, who is the best pitcher in the world, and we do have to play him constantly, and it's awful. But he's one of those players who's so good that he transcends the rivalry, that everybody has a lot of respect for him, all that stuff. The only thing is that if he had been pitching against the Giants team that had its players, they would have had a better chance.
Well, so that's what I was going to ask you. What do you think the biggest factor in the Giants not making the playoffs? Is it the odd versus even year jinx, or is it the injuries?
Well, they're tied into each other. And I don't know if this is a result of playing deep into the postseason, and then people don't get their breaks, and then they come back the next year and try to push and are tired and haven't rested, and that's why they get hurt.
But that's not why Nori Aoki has a concussion. That's not why Brandon Belt has a concussion.
Right, but it seems like every single odd season, it's been the injuries that ultimately took the team down. Not just being bad, but it's been the injuries that led to the collapse. And in 2011, we saw the 2011 is the closest any of these teams actually came to winning the division, and they were actually in first by a sizable amount.
Which is crazy because that's the Buster Posey injury year.
Right. They obviously had the Buster Posey injury. They had the Freddie Sanchez injury. They had all these things happen, and every time there was a major injury, you kind of saw the offense sputter and then get back into form and find some way to score runs, and they did it. But by the end of the year, it was just too much. It was too many injuries.
So there's been a lot of national writers coming out and saying, well, look, the Giants didn't make the playoffs this year, but they are primed for another good season next year. Do you think that's them playing into the every other year thing, or do you subjectively or objectively looking at it think the Giants are in a good spot for next season?
Well, you know me, Mr. Objective, when it comes to the Giants. But
that's why I added subjective in there, whichever route you wanted to take.
No, I honestly believe that having lived through 2011 and 2013, not that long ago, this is the best odd year, and it's the one at which I'm emerging with the most confidence in the team going forward, because it's never fun to lose, but they were competitive until the final week of the season.
Didn't they have
they had no right to be.
Don't they have a better run differential this year than the Dodgers do?
Absolutely.
They're like plus 80.
At least as of a few days, yeah.
So that's usually
year,
a better predictor of future success.
Yeah, Pythagorean win-loss, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so going into next year, assuming everybody's healthy, a lot of what happened positively for the club this year will really help. You know, we had the emergence and dominance of Matt Duffy, who would win the Rookie of the Year if Chris Bryant didn't.
In any other year where there's not a million rookies who are the best players on the planet.
Exactly. We have the rise and semi-fall of Chris Heston, who, you know, wasn't as great down the stretch.
He got a couple bad beats. He didn't win for 2 months, but he deserved to win in a couple of those games, and he pitched longer and harder than he ever had in his career. So I think he's going to enjoy the long off season.
Continued success of Joe Panik.
Joe Panik has been great this year. And actually, to cap off the Giants season, they don't have to deal with Pablo Sandoval, who's eroding before everyone's eyes in Boston as one of the worst position players in baseball.
So going forward, we have this amazing homegrown, not to mention the explosion of Brandon Crawford into a power hitter, which our friend Alex Pavlovich said was going to happen a few years ago. But we have this infield that's great and homegrown and locked up and cheap.
Yeah, no one's on the decline.
Except for Buster Posey.
Yep.
Yeah, for the next several years. So the Giants are going into the offseason basically looking for a stud starting pitcher.
Or two.
You know, that might be it. Or two. And they just don't really have that many needs to address elsewhere.
Yeah, you're right.
We don't really think Jarrett Parker is going to be a superstar, but
a bench bat, yeah.
Zach Williamson can play. You know, we have Aoki for pretty cheap next year. We obviously have Pence coming back, and who knows if Marlon Byrd's going to be there. But, you know, the Giants are working from a position of strength in the outfield.
All right.
And a lot of money coming off the books.
One last thing before we go, Danny. We'll transition out of the Giants. 2 questions. What's wrong with the 49ers, and how many interceptions would Colin Kaepernick have to throw for him to get benched by Jim Tomsula, and how many would it take him to get benched by you? Speechless Niner fans. I love this week. Speechless Niner fans. I'm having the best time.
What's wrong with the Niners? Well, the York family is only interested in money, and once they got their new stadium that's going to make them a bajillion dollars, there was no need to put any money into the team.
Yeah, why
coach it? So
why even host Niner games? Just host T-Swift concerts, right?
Oh yeah, I'm into that.
Exactly. They have a couple good players surrounded by a whole ocean of mediocrity, coached by people who don't know what they're doing.
Okay, and as for Kaepernick, how long is the string for him?
The string is, I mean, for me, it's infinite because his backup is Blaine Gabbert.
I figured that's what you'd say, and that's been my opinion on it as well. But at some point, he needs to at least get his head straight.
I mean, I think Kaepernick, I think if you watch the Cardinals game, which I would not recommend anybody do.
Unless you're a Cardinals fan.
If you look at most of those, the pick sixes, I mean, they were terrible throws. They were terrible decisions. But he was facing a lot of pressure. And he underthrew his receivers, which is something that we never really thought would happen because if there was one knock against Kaepernick's arm, it was that he was throwing too hard. So what he needs to do is he needs to find some way to get a little bit of time in the pocket, which the offensive line is just not even there. But also not make as many stupid decisions. And these weren't even normal stupid decisions. These were awful, awful decisions. This was the equivalent of just throwing a jump ball and hoping that, you know, that the right people would catch it. And if he doesn't do that, then that game is a lot. I mean, not closer, but
yeah, they
wouldn't be as much.
They weren't going to score on those drives, Danny. All right, well, that's it for our local sports shame segment for the day. Stay on the line, Danny. We're going to do some NFL picks with producer Tory, who's coming on right now. But before we do, throw some love to our NFL pick sponsor, Woodstock's Pizza. They have 7 locations in California, all in college towns: Davis, Chico, here in Santa Cruz, San Luis Obispo, Isla Vista / Santa Barbara, and 2 in San Diego, All 7 of them have the NFL Sunday ticket. They all have beer on tap. They all have delicious pizza. Go to any of them, watch your favorite local team. Come to Santa Cruz, watch the 49ers if you dare. We have lots of Bears fans come in, Steeler fans. It's a pretty diverse group. It's a lot of fun. Thank you to Woodstock's Pizza. They're located on Front Street next to Trader Joe's in Santa Cruz. Look online, woodstockca.com for all the Woodstock's locations. They order delivery, pickup, dine-in. They do it all. Woodstock's is the place to be. Okay, producer Tory is in. Can you update us on how we're all doing on our picks this year? Well, you can exclude my numbers, please.
Some of us are doing really great.
Don't laugh, Danny.
So, I made a nice comeback last week.
You went undefeated.
5-0. Danny also did really well last week, so we are currently at 10-5-1.
Uh-huh.
Joaquin is at 9-6-1.
Joaquin had a bad week.
Bad week.
I went 3-2, which is not bad.
And you were still at 7-8-1.
That's almost 500. I live my life
crawling your way back.
I'm creeping up. It's more that you guys are all doing really well. It's unsustainably well right now, and I'm just humming along, making my picks. All right, before we get started, go ahead, Danny.
Who else is going to finish below 500?
The 49ers.
The Washington Nationals.
Washington Nationals. That's good. Before we get started, does anyone on this panel think the Ravens can make the playoffs after their 0-3 start? Joaquin.
No.
Danny.
No.
Producer Tory.
No.
You love Big Ben, that's why. The Bears, Lions, and the Saints are the only other winless teams. We're going to scratch those 3 off. None of those teams are making the playoffs. But the Ravens lost by 6 to the Broncos, 4 to the Raiders, and 4 to the Bengals. That's 2 playoff teams in the Raiders. I think they make the playoffs. I'm going to flip the script in picks.
It could be 3 playoff teams. The Raiders are favored on the road this week.
That's a good point. That's too tough of a division. The Raiders can't make the playoffs there. All right, another rapid fire question. Patriots or Packers for the best team? You can count the Cardinals, I guess. Danny.
Rapid fire.
Patriots. Tory.
Man, the Cardinals are looking good.
You're going Cardinals. Joaquin.
Packers.
Give me the Packers. Aaron Rodgers is my guy. Which undefeated team do you believe in the most? These are the surprise 3-0s. Falcons, Bengals, Panthers, Tory.
Falcons.
I'm going to take the Bengals, Joaquin.
Cam and Cam love the kids.
You do love the kids, Danny.
The Bengals.
Danny.
Well, you said Packers was one of them?
No, Falcons, Bengals, Panthers.
Panthers.
Falcons.
You're going with the Falcons. Matty Ice.
That defense is not as awful as we think, and they have an amazing offense.
They all have pretty good quarterbacks. I guess I took the worst quarterback of the bunch, so maybe I'm the sucker here. I'm also a sucker because I misread the lines this week, and I did the line for Cardinals-Rams instead of Cowboys-Saints. What's the line on Cowboys-Saints?
Saints by 5.5.
Is it Saints minus 5.5?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to start on that one. Give me the Cowboys. I know Brandon Weeden isn't all that in a bag of chips. We don't know the health of Drew Brees. I don't trust any McCown brother at this point. Even if there's a 4th or 5th McCown brother, I don't trust them. Tory, who you got in this one?
This game is... Yeah, I don't even know what this game is. If Brees plays, it's going to be the Saints. If he's still out, it's a coin flip.
It's too bad. You got to pick.
It's a coin flip.
You can't flip a coin.
No, I know. I'm taking the Saints just on the chance that Brees plays.
Okay, Danny.
Cowboys.
We them boys. Joaquin.
And I'm saying you don't want my reason here.
I do want your reason. You're just slow.
I'm saying Cowboys because Breeze is either not going to play or he'll be limited, and even with the Cowboys' limitations, they're just going to run the ball, and the Saints are not going to be able to stop them.
The Cowboys are weeding out quarterbacks as they go, right? Joaquin.
Saints.
Joaquin takes the Saints. They're becoming the Aints of old. It's actually kind of refreshing to see the Saints undefeated.
I just want to see a bag over their head.
That's what I was just thinking. I want to see some guys with bags over their heads. I want to see Archie Manning come out and support the team, and because he was so bad when he. Oh my goodness, that's great. All right, Lions Seahawks. Lions plus 10. Joaquin.
Oh, I'm taking the Seahawks.
You're taking the Seahawks?
I believe in the Seahawks home advantage, and I believe that the Lions running game is garbage and that the Seahawks secondary is back.
I, too, am taking the Seahawks. I love that Cam is back. It almost feels like too many points. But the Lions have looked hapless against 2 good defenses and whatever the Chargers are. And Seattle brings still a pretty good defense. It's also the 3rd road game of the season for Detroit in 4 games. And the Clink is one of the toughest places to visit, like you said, Joaquin. Danny.
Well, there's somebody who's in the room right now who's going to be very happy that I say this, but
I don't want to hear what your mom thinks about football, Danny.
I'm saying not the Lions.
You're going to say not the Lions. Okay. Danny's taking not the Lions. Tori.
It sucks to be the Lions right now. It sucks to
The
be
Lions
the
and Saints are bad. This is so refreshing. This is like my childhood. Somehow the Bengals are 3-0 and it's throwing things out of sorts. But I kind of like those.
The
two
Niners
teams
and the
being
Bengals
bad.
need to flip, and we'll be
it
back
feel
to
like our
normal.
youth.
Just back to the 90s.
Okay. The last game we all have to pick: Steelers and Ravens. Steelers are getting 3. Tori.
Can I first point out that when I wrote down this, it came out as ball versus pit, so I'm just thinking of ball pits, and it's making me really giggly.
All right. Watch out for those needles in the ball pits. That's what I've always heard.
That's haystacks.
No, like
Hypodermic.
heroin needles.
Hypodermic. Oh.
Them too, yeah. Hypodermic. That's a
I
good
think the
word.
Ravens will take it. Big Ben is out, Vic is in, and the Steelers feel shaky.
Danny.
I think Steelers because the Ravens' defense is a shell of its former self. The Steelers have
All
a
right.
really good support system for Vic, and they're going to steamroll this.
Okay, Joaquin.
I'm taking the Ravens. I just don't think Vic can connect in what was a really high-powered passing game for the Steelers.
Antonio Brown's so good on short routes, though.
But he looked
Keep him
so
short.
bad. They looked so bad after Big Ben went down.
You know, the Rams are pretty good, though, and he hasn't had time to adjust to the new system. He only got signed, less than 2 months
Yeah,
ago.
it's also a short week.
It is a short week, you're right, and there's going to be a lot of problems. I'm taking Steelers +3. Dare I say Michael Vick is a home dog?
Okay.
Back to the pit
Speaking
jokes.
of pits, yeah, pit jokes.
Here's all you need to know. Vic isn't very good, but he can hit open receivers. And Antonio Brown is always open.
He's always open. It's the Bill Simmons season from heck is in effect for the Ravens. Steelers for the cover and for the outright win. Let's go to our wild cards. I haven't started with you, Joaquin. What's your first wild card?
First wild card, I got Aaron Rodgers giving 9.5 points to the Niners, and I'm taking it.
Oh, man, betting against the Niners would be pretty fruitful this season, except for week 1, which is the only time I bet on them.
Aaron Rodgers is covering. He's been covering, and he's going to stay covering.
Okay, Danny, first one.
I'm going Cardinals -7, and I'm going back to what you said last week about the Patriots, is you can't make this line high enough.
Yeah, but that was
So-
against the Jaguars. The Rams are a little bit better than that, though.
Not in Arizona and not against this Cardinals team. The Cardinals team looks like the third best team, and I think the Cardinals win by double digits.
I agree with you. I had Cardinals -7 when I thought that was one of the primetime games, so I'm not going to make it one of my picks. I am going to make not a primetime game, the opposite of primetime, the 6:30 in the morning London game.
You going all the way east?
I'm considering waking up for this game. I wake up at 6:30 5 days a week. Heck, let's make it 6.
They'll be playing soccer at the time, too. You can watch 2 things at once.
Why would I watch soccer? There's football on. I'm going to take the Jets -2 over the Dolphins. The Jets are a top 10 team and a top 5 defense in any country, including England. Ryan Tannehill has been fortunate. There's so much scrutiny on Andrew Luck and Russell Wilson this season. On a neutral field, the Jets are at least 6 points better than Miami. Tori?
I have a next somewhere that's going to kill to hear me say this.
You
The
do?
Raiders aren't looking too bad right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're not playoff material. Don't get me wrong. They're not going to the playoffs anytime soon, but they aren't terrible. But you know who is terrible right now?
A lot of teams. The Buccaneers, maybe?
The Bears.
Oh, the Bears. The Bears are
bad.
awful.
And that's who they're playing.
And what's the spread in that one?
Spread is Chicago with 3.
Okay.
Chicago's getting 3. Raiders are favored on the road.
That's
When's
a
the
tough
last
one.
time that happened?
I don't know. We'd have to look that up. When you make a pick, maybe you should look these things up.
Good.
All right, Joaquin, your second pick.
I'm
All right.
taking the Eagles over the Washington professional football team.
I thought about that one. Is that 3.5 on
Three.
the road? 3 on the road?
3 on the road. Just Washington looked so bad
They're
against New York.
alternating week by week,
I don't know. Maybe the Eagles will figure it out. I don't know. It's hard. I'm betting more against Washington than for Philadelphia here.
All right, Danny.
I'm going to back up my pick a few minutes ago and go Falcons -7 over the Texans. This is partially going with the strategy of always pick against the Texans, but also I think this line came out when they had an idea that Arian Foster might play, and he's looking like he probably won't. And the Falcons actually have a running game in addition to their passing game, and J.J. Watt can't do everything.
He cannot. As much as producer Tory wants him to, as much as Joaquin loves betting against the Texans, you didn't this week.
I did not.
He's got to play. He'll play Cammy Cam again, and then you'll
Cammy Cam, love the
kids. I love that you love that, Joaquin.
It's so
you
good.
Smile every time anyone brings it up or you say it. My last pick, I'm going to take Eli and the Giants +6 over the Bills. All 3 Giants games this season have been close, including against the 3-0 Falcons that Danny loves so much. New York has done good things in every game, even if they followed it up with subpar coaching and play calling. This is a close one in Buffalo. Give me Eli, the book of Eli.
Also a movie I love.
That's a terrible movie.
I love that movie. Give me Denzel wrecking shop anytime. I'll watch any Denzel movie
love
where he
the
wrecks.
kids.
No, Man on Fire, Book of Eli, just anything.
We've got about 18 minutes left in the show.
Can we just talk about Man on Fire?
I could talk about Man on Fire for the next 18 minutes.
Can we talk about how
As long
much?
as we don't ever talk about Book of Eli again.
Just how much Tony Scott loved Denzel and how great their movies were together.
All I have
Crimson
to say,
Tide, Taking a Felon 1, 2, 3.
is Creasy Bear.
Oh,
And that
Greasy
just
Bear.
melts your heart every time you hear Which Fanning Girls? That's Dakota, right?
I don't know.
I think that's Dakota.
Christopher Walken's in it. I
That's
remember
true.
that.
That's true. That's a fantastic movie. Okay, well, let's wrap up our NFL picks with another thank you to Woodstock's Pizza, who sponsors
my
these
last
picks.
pick.
Oh, Tori, you have another pick?
Yeah,
Okay. Can you make it at Woodstock's Pizza?
I can. I actually make a pizza delivery joke in this thing.
Go for it.
I took Arizona over the Rams
Rams.
because the Cardinals are looking good right now, and if they were a pizza delivery boy, I'd be hitting on them.
Wow. That's controversial.
That's a good reason. That's a good reason to pick a team.
There's a lot that goes into that the listeners just are never going to understand. And I'm actually starting to perspire right now thinking about it. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up. Once again, Woodstock's Pizza, all 7 locations have the NFL Sunday Ticket. It's the best place to watch the NFL. There's beer, there's pizza. Man cave wings are a thing that you need to explore. I don't know why they're called that, but
Dessert pizza.
dessert pizza, that's a good one. Danny, thank you for coming on today, my friend. We appreciate all your work.
Oh, thank you.
All right, we'll talk to you next week, dude. All right, I cut Danny off from his sign-off, which is my favorite thing to do every week. I have the power. I make the rules. All right, one more sponsorship break. Another great place to watch sports, 99 Bottles, one of the premier dining experiences downtown. Crazy selection of drinks. 99 Bottles is not even a joke. That's really how many things they have, how many choices you have when you go there. It's almost overwhelming, but their staff will work with you to find just what you need for beer, spirits, food, sports, anything you can do at 99 Bottles. Nothing illegal. You can bring your dog. They have patio seating. They've got upstairs, downstairs. They've got a big bar to sit at. It's one of the coolest places in downtown Santa Cruz and in this county overall. Thank you to 99 Bottles. Joaquin, let's blow through some stories. Tori, I'm going to keep you quiet for a minute, which is the first time anyone's been able to do that this year. Just throwing things at me. Joaquin, let's do a quick college football update.
Okay.
This is going to be kind of an either-or round of rapid-fire questions. What was crazier, Oregon's 62-20 smashing by Utah, or the TCU miracle tip touchdown to beat T-Tech?
Oregon getting wrecked. So much so that Utah even got a first-place vote in the AP poll.
I saw that. I thought that was fascinating. People are still so in love with Oregon. First time they've been out of the top 25 in 6 years, since 2009.
Sorry, Jacob.
Yeah, sorry to our friend Jacob May, who is good friends with all 3 of us. Texas Tech, though, how do you let that happen? I know it's not really your fault.
Well, how does TCU stay in the top 5 after that, needing that to win?
Wins are wins.
Are they even, I don't understand how college football works.
Right now, it's all about having that 0 in the loss column.
But if there are enough teams with the 0 in the loss column and you had to get a miracle tip touchdown, why are you number 4?
Look, the best team Cal has beaten so far was Texas, who's
Okay.
awful, and
All
they
right.
beat them by a point.
Well,
and they're in the top 25.
the computer simulations will come out, and they won't have TCU nearly as high as the AP poll does.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Do you think someone like Alabama should be above TCU?
No.
Even with one loss in that better conference?
No, I don't think so.
The Big 12's playing some entertaining football, though.
They've always played some entertaining football. They really like the spread offense. They've been high octane ever since what was that guy's name? Mike Leach was at Texas Tech.
Oh,
the Pirate.
yeah. That guy was terrible.
I mean, he brought that spread offense.
Yeah,
and he brought that whole trend to the Big 12.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. You know, Robert Griffin at Baylor was really exciting to watch, and now this TCU team scoring.
Michael Crabtree looked like a world beater.
Yeah, I mean, he's still got a decent career in front of him as a possession receiver. Maybe not the highlight maker that everyone thought he was going to be. All right, moving on. Iman Shumpert out 3 months. More concerned about that or Kevin Love's new hairstyle?
I like the Kevin Love hairstyle.
Of course you do. As a curly-haired man.
Yeah, you just got to let it be, Kevin. Stop hiding it. Thank you.
See, when my hair gets curly, it just looks greasy and weird like it does now, so I can't really get on board with it.
Kevin Love looks like a young Weird Al.
Was Weird Al ever young? He kind of always looked 50.
He emerged.
I liked Kevin Love's more like military crew, like Mitch McGarry style hair.
No, he's just got to explore it. They need to have not games with the ABA ball during the year just so Kevin Love would look perfect.
I just like when he gets sweaty, he just looks so weird. The hair just gets like tapered down on his forehead and
he just needs to get it long enough to rock a headband.
So, and Shumpert, that's not going to hurt them too much. They need him for the playoffs, right?
They don't care about the regular season. The East is a joke.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, I got one really quick.
Okay.
Kobe said he's happy with playing the 3 in LA and that
shooting the 3 or playing the 3?
playing small forward and that he's happy with letting Clarkson and Russell handle the ball.
Do you think they're going to let them start together?
Did you ever think you would hear Kobe say he's happy with other people handling the ball and he'll just get to his spots?
I never thought I'd hear Jordan Clarkson starting in the NBA. You know, I watched that guy for a long time in college, and I thought he was great, but I didn't think he was a pro prospect. And he had a great season last year. Kobe, he knows he's on his last legs. He's starting to wear down, not physically and emotionally.
Yeah, he's not even full on Mamba mentality anymore. He's like the Mamba mentor.
Do you think losing that killer instinct is going to hurt or help?
I think he still has the killer instinct. I think he just understands what it takes to bring the young players through. He's not treating these guys like Jordan treated Kwame Brown.
Over under 30 shots in 82 games this season.
Over under 5 times Kobe takes 30 shots this season.
Okay, how many does he make in those games though? Is it ever over 15?
It's 12.
12?
It's always 12.
It's always 12. That's the number he's trying to get to. He'll shoot till he makes 12.
Exactly.
All right, what would you call Nick Young?
To his face?
Yeah. Whatever he asks, or
Mr. Young.
Mr. Young. He wants to be called Nicholas. He
Nicholas
wants to be addressed
Young
by the media and by fans as Nicholas.
What do you think Iggy calls him?
I don't know anything about Iggy Azalea other than IGGY. That's all I know about Iggy Azalea.
You haven't seen the video of Nick Young talking about how to talk to girls and how he talked to her?
No.
Oh, it's wonderful.
That's going to be in the show notes, and we'll have to watch that after we get off the air.
You know what? I don't think I'd address Nick Young until he learns how to pass the ball. Do you think he'll see the floor this year much for the Lakers?
I've already been talking to Laker fans, and they all think he's on his way out of town.
They signed Lou Williams. He takes as many shots as Nick Young. He takes as many bad shots as Nick Young, but he makes more of them.
Yeah.
And they got Kobe, and they got the young guys, and Clarkson, and Russell, and Randall.
But Lou Williams doesn't turn around and run the other way after he shoots like Nick Young does.
Is that your favorite NBA still of Nick Young with the arms out and the ball clearly off course?
The Christ pose as Jesus misses a 3.
I like the big grin and the aw shucks afterwards.
At least Curry makes him when he does that. And
Every
he
time.
does it out of the corner and ducks in and runs along the bench. That's like Larry Bird level.
Stank faces at the camera.
God, Steph Curry's so good. I'm excited to watch them play again. The
I'm
Splash
ready.
Brothers. All right. Anything from Champions League you want to discuss?
Anything? Everything.
You can say anything you want. I'm listening. I actually covered some of it this morning.
Your boy Lewandowski.
3 more goals.
3 more goals.
What did I say? Call me when he hits a 4th.
Yeah, Zagreb me.
Zagreb me when he gets the 4th goal.
They're playing Dinamo Zagreb.
Is it Dinamo? I said Dynamo on the air. Okay.
Who knows? The Croatians, they can figure it out for
so
themselves.
Arsenal lost again.
Arsenal lost and Chelsea lost. And a lot of people are worried about the coefficient for the English Premier League and whether or not they'll hold on to their 4th Champions League spot.
So they can, if their teams don't perform well enough,
if their teams don't perform well enough, and Italy's teams do perform well enough, Italy can get the 4th spot instead of England. Right now, Spain and Germany have already passed England in terms of the coefficient.
La Liga and Bundesliga.
There you go. And now Serie A. That's the hardest one for me to pronounce. They might pass England, but based on today with both Manchester clubs winning and yes, Juventus winning, but Roma got crushed yesterday. England's sitting at just above 4, and Italy's sitting right at 3.
I got 2 points. It's always going to be Juventus for me, because it's just the way it looks in my brain. Also, Americans are never going to watch soccer because you just use the word coefficient, and Americans hate math. So that's not going to work out.
Americans are never going to watch soccer because they're not going to understand the competition structure of how all these teams have their own domestic leagues and then the Champions League. It's just too much.
Well, it's because we don't really like sports that are played anywhere else on Earth. Basketball is the only one that's really become global. You know, baseball a little bit in a couple select countries, but football not
We don't
at
like
all.
sports we didn't invent.
Right. I mean, we didn't invent baseball. Rounders was a British game or whatnot, and football is just rugby. And
yeah, but we changed them.
Basketball is the one.
Dr. James Naismith.
We can take credit for basketball.
I guess Canadians invented hockey, but do we really like it?
No.
Okay.
I do not.
Okay.
All right. I think we've done all our sponsor breaks today. Please remember, though, to go to coachesdecisionksco.com and click through Fans Edge and Fanatics.com. They're our direct sponsor. Get some cash in our pocket for this show. Joaquin and Tory are unpaid, and I'm severely underpaid. So let's get some money in our pockets. Go buy some merchandise on those websites. Click through. Everything would be awesome if you did. Let's bring on unpaid producer Tory, who I pay with rides to the show and home afterwards. It's the only way she'll come.
You know, Fifi treats me well.
She does like drivers. All right, what's your first story, producer Tory?
Oh, no. Kevin Martin cracking jokes when asked, how did you score 39 points with a broken wrist? He replied, luck? Nah, I was playing the Knicks.
Oh, man, that's Kevin Martin. That's not even a good NBA player taking a shot at
Kevin
the
Martin
Knicks.
was considered good.
When?
When he played for the Rockets, before he went to the Kings, before he went to the T-Wolves.
Kevin Bacon was good before, the 90s.
Kevin Bacon was good before he made, what is that, Hollow Man.
Oh, man. He came back with The Woodsman, which was a pretty good movie. We get Danny back on here to tell me he's not in The Woodsman or something.
No, he's definitely in The Woodsman.
Okay.
Oh, Catherine Zeta-Jones is in both of those Zorro movies.
Thank you.
The Woodsman?
Yes.
Kevin Bacon was good, in Footloose and Diner?
Apollo 13, anybody?
Okay.
Everybody's fantastic
Tremors?
in that movie. Tremors, oh gosh.
My childhood is fantastic because of Tremors. I loved that movie as a kid.
It was so good. All right, Tori.
So the Grizzlies marketing department does it again. Tony Allen Jedi robe giveaway December 11th for Star Wars Day.
Awesome.
I mean, his nickname was Trick or Treat Tony, so it's good that it's a Halloween giveaway, right?
Well, now his nickname is now the Grindfather.
The Grindfather?
Yeah, the Grindhouse. They call the Grizzlies arena the Grindhouse,
okay.
and he's the Grindfather.
He hasn't even been on the team the longest, though. But he just exhibits so much of the grind.
He and Zebo are like the patron saints of the Memphis Grizzlies.
And Zebo's just eating the most grinders. Which is an East Coast term for sandwich, you California listeners.
He's just grinding out buckets.
Okay. Victoria?
So the Donald Trump of the NFL, Rex Ryan.
I was waiting with bated breath what that was going
Tom
to
Brady.
be. I was like the Donald Trump of the NFL. Carly Fiorina?
Rex Ryan.
Okay.
Talking about Eli Manning.
I didn't know Donald Trump liked feet.
I like the fact that he beat Brady twice. I like that. I'm not all the way over the Brady butt kicking he did against us. When is Rex Ryan going to stop hating the Pats, and when am I going to not love him hating the Pats?
Never. He insists on coaching in that division. Like, he doesn't want to go to the NFC West and battle it out with Tom Sula and Jeff Fisher. He doesn't care. He wants to beat Belichick.
Believe me, Buffalo fans love that he hates the Pats.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's nothing that they would want more out of their coach than someone who
they're trying to
absolutely
pay
hates
him more
the Pats.
money. Like, as the season goes on, say it again, Monkey Man. Say it again.
Make our defense good and say terrible things about Belichick and Brady.
And he does, but then after the game, he says, I got outcoached by Belichick. He's a classy guy. But the week leading up to the game, everything is in play. And that's what's so great about Rex Ryan. The problem with Donald Trump is when the selection's over, I don't think he's going to be that classy.
No, not at all. Do you think he'll actually get the nomination?
No.
You think he'll go for it?
No.
Do you think he'll run as a third party?
No.
Oh,
There's just too much middle.
I want more Ross Perot in my life.
It's okay. I got $4 billion waiting for me at home. I'll be fine. I did love that attitude, though. All right, Tori.
Here's my fun fact of the week. The Bears got on a plane, punted 10 times, and then went home.
Yeah. On an 11th time, just by showing up, I guess, you punt that one. Look at this, 26-0.
Mm-hmm.
Not even a showing. Jimmy Clausen, these Notre Dame quarterbacks. Brady Quinn's already in the booth. Like, he's already doing games. I didn't even know he had enough clout or enough clipboard holding to even do the games live. I don't even know how this is happening.
So do you think Bears fans want Jay Cutler back now?
Of course they want Jay Cutler back. They want Jim McMahon back. They'll have Mike Ditka play quarterback now. They don't care.
Do they want Rex Grossman back?
Cade McNown. I can name all these guys. Todd Collins. There was another...
The long and bloody history of Bears quarterbacks.
Cade McNown. That's a good one. UCLA guy. He was pretty good in college.
Jim Harbaugh.
Jim Harbaugh, yeah, why not? Big number 4 in khakis, going out there. They're pleading for him. They're pleading for him. See what I did there? It's a khakis joke. All right, Tory.
The Athletics hired Justine Siegel, the first team to employ a female coach.
Well, in Major League Baseball.
In Major League Baseball.
Because the Spurs, Becky Hammond, and...
so I was going for baseball.
Jen Welter. Ooh, I remember her name. Jen Welter for the Arizona Cardinals. They're treating her as an intern, though, which is weird. Like, they're going to cut her loose or something.
They might.
You got to keep her. Come on. If she makes a Super Bowl run with the team this year, that would be so awesome.
Sorry, what did you say her position was with the A's?
They just said that she's a coach. I'm not sure what she's coaching.
Yeah, I didn't see that either. I did see the story, but I'm kind of getting bored of them now. Feminism is awesome, and women breaking into new sports jobs is awesome. That's the third one this year. I'm getting kind of bored.
If she's an in-dugout coach, are they going to have to give her a uniform?
Oh, that would be amazing.
Or what if she's a first base coach?
Are there would they give her for a league of their own? They wear skirts and the high socks.
Yeah, is she gonna have to wear a skirt and high socks?
What's the softball shorts? What's the female baseball coach uniform?
I don't know.
We've got 2 minutes to talk about this, but we could dive deep. Does she get a number? Does she get her name on the back?
She has to get a number and a name, right?
I'm liking the softball booty shorts and the sliders.
She coaches first base or third base. She got to wear a helmet. She might get confused for one of the foul ball retrieval people because they're not used to seeing women out there. That's an interesting one.
It's just interesting things.
Why do coaches wear pajamas in baseball games?
They're so comfy.
It's so stupid. It's not a comfortable uniform. I've worn a baseball uniform a million times. It's not comfortable.
It's because everyone wants to see an old man Joe Torre in a baseball uniform.
It's like there are so many outfits that hide beer guts. Baseball uniforms are not one of them. I mean, look at John Lackey.
Well, that's why they wear the jacket over the top, right?
I know. It's just so weird to watch.
Was it George Zimmer in the uniform?
Don
Zimmer, sorry.
George Zimmer.
Who's
George Zimmer?
George Zimmerman?
I was thinking of George Zimmerman.
There's Hans and George Zimmerman.
I was getting those two names conflated.
Oh, man. Speaking of tackling black men, let's talk more about football.
Victor Cruz pulls himself out of practice on his first day back after he said he felt something in his calf.
Well, you gotta get that checked out. If there's a foreign object in your calf, that's some serious business.
I mean, I've seen Alien.
Calf burster.
Odell Beckham Jr. is enough to keep me entertained. Victor Cruz would be a nice compliment, and he actually might be able to resurrect his career playing opposite ODB. But ODB's enough for me. I'm excited where he changes his name.
Big Baby Jesus.
Yeah, what's his old dirty what?
Big Baby Jesus is definitely what's coming next.
Is that Odell Beckham's version of that? Or?
No, that was
what ODB changed his name.
Well, I know, but what would ODBs be? Would he be would it be more
Big
modern,
Baby Beckham.
maybe?
Slim Baby Jesus.
Buddy Christ, like in Dogma? All right, well, that's going to be our show. We're going to get out on one more movie reference. That's Dogma. Thank you for listening to Coach's Decision. Some thank yous and some self-promotion. Find all episodes of the show on iTunes by searching the name Coach's Decision or at YouTube by doing the same thing. Follow the show on Twitter at Coach's Decision. I'm on Twitter at GiantsTodd, T-O-D-D. Danny's Archie on Twitter at GiantsPod. And Joaquin at _Nagel, JOAQ_Nagel. Thank you guys for all your work today. I love sitting in here and doing this show with you. My name is Thomas Todd. For Joaquin and for Tory, you're listening to KSCO 1080 AM, Santa Cruz, Salinas, Monterey.